Today, we're digging into a story that, on the surface, feels like a wild alien invasion tale. But the real secret? Well, it's hiding in plain sight, right there between the lines. But first, I want you to think about this for a second. What if you picked up a book and every single word, every phrase was just literally true? Not a metaphor, not an expression. What kind of bizarre world would that even look like? So this is how our story kicks off, with this bombshell of a sentence from our narrator. He's convinced he's discovered a secret alien invasion. And how did he find this out? Not some deep cover investigation, no. He found it just by flipping through an old paperback he picked up on a bus. Yeah, so our guy finds this discarded book and becomes absolutely certain that he's the only one who sees the truth. He believes aliens are walking among us, disguised as humans, and the proof has been right under our noses the whole time.
So, naturally, what's the first thing you do when you uncover a planet-threatening alien conspiracy? You're right to the government, of course. But their response? Well, they send him a pamphlet on how to fix things around the house. And that right there, that's our very first little clue that maybe, just maybe, our narrator's view of things isn't quite lining up with reality.
Okay, so what in the world did he actually read in that book? This is where his whole case for an alien invasion gets started and, where things get really, really strange.
And here we have it. Exhibit A. The sentence that started it all. He reads this, and he doesn't just imagine a guy looking around. Oh, no. His takeaway is something else entirely. You heard that right. For our narrator, this isn't a figure of speech. Nope. It's solid proof of an alien species whose eyeballs can just pop out and float around. And the fact that nobody else in the book seems to react, well, to him, that's the ultimate confirmation. They must all be aliens, totally used to seeing detached eyes buzzing around the room. All right, so to figure out what's really going on here, we have to do the one thing our narrator can't. We have to step back, question everything, and look for clues. We've got to put on our literary detective hats. And believe me, it gets weirder than just floating eyeballs. As our narrator keeps reading, he finds more and more proof, building this truly bizarre picture of alien anatomy. So he gets to this part of the book. Seems like a simple, kind of sweet moment, right? A guy puts his arm around a woman, she asks him to take it away, and he does. Simple. But our narrator, he sees something completely different. He whips out his knowledge of biology and decides that these creatures must be like starfish, able to detach their limbs whenever they want. He's seriously picturing this guy literally unscrewing his arm and, what, leaving it standing in a corner somewhere? And then he finds what he thinks is this smoking gun. The author writes that a group split up. Now, for you and me, that just means they went in different directions. For our narrator, though, it means they literally reproduce by splitting their bodies in two, right there on the sidewalk. He even tries to figure out the science, guessing that the lower halves went for dinner while the upper halves went to see the movie. I mean, he's gone way, way down the rabbit hole. And the evidence just keeps flooding in. A guy lost his head, another has no guts, someone else is lacking in brains. A woman literally gives a man her heart and then her hand. To our narrator, this isn't just colorful language. It's a terrifying account of constant dismemberment and organ swapping. Okay, so by now you've probably figured it out. The alien invasion? That's not the real story here. The real mystery is the person telling it. What we're dealing with is a classic literary tool, the unreliable narrator. This is a storyteller whose version of events you just can't trust because they're seeing the world through a, let's say, distorted lens. And in this case, it's a very, very literal one. Let's just break it down. When the book says eyes rove the room, it's just a way of saying someone looked around. When it says they split up, it just means the group separated. In every single instance, he takes a perfectly normal, everyday expression and reads it as a literal physical event. And that's what makes him so unreliable. And this quote right here, this tells you everything you need to know about his mindset. He doesn't think he's made a mistake. He thinks he's special. He's figured out a secret truth that's too much for us regular people to handle. And that feeling of superiority, that's a huge red flag. So if this story isn't actually about aliens, what is it about?
This is where we get to the real point, the message the author hid inside all this comedy.
So how do you find a theme in a story? It's actually a pretty simple 3-step recipe. First, you spot a big idea that keeps popping up. That's your topic. Then you ask yourself, what is the author trying to say about that topic? You put those two together and bam, that's your theme. Let's try it with our story. The big recurring topic is clearly perception versus reality. And what's the author's message? That the way we use language, especially figurative language, can create this huge canyon between what's really happening and how we think it's happening. And that is the real point of the story.
And the story's final line? It's the perfect punchline. After this whole terrifying ordeal, our narrator says he has no stomach for it. He's using a common expression to say he's scared, but he's completely blind to the irony. He's doing the exact same thing that sent him spiraling in the first place. He has learned absolutely nothing.
So, yeah, this story is a hilarious look at one man's epic misunderstanding. But it kind of leaves us with a bigger question, doesn't it? How often do we in our own lives build up entire realities, our own fears, our assumptions, our beliefs, all from just misunderstanding the words right in front of us?